Matthew Stuckey here from Verity Baptist Church, Philippines, just giving you a quick missionary update. And this past week we had a total of 175 salvations, so it was a great week, great results. And as I've been saying recently, we have increased amount of soul winning now. We're kind of going to new locations, a lot more soul winning going on. So kind of my new goal is, instead of getting 100 salvations per week, I'm hoping we can get about 170 or 150 per week, I should say. But 175 is great. You know, I'm happy if we get 150 each week. We got countless hours of soul winning going on. So it's a great week overall. And in terms of sermons preached on the weekends, I preached on religious hypocrisy was my sermon. I kind of had 3 points where I talked about basically people that preach repentance of sins are religious hypocrites because they're telling somebody to do something they haven't done since they're not sinless themselves. I talk about people that preach strict standards but don't actually keep it. Having strict standards does not make you a hypocrite, but when you say it and you don't do it, then you are a hypocrite. But then the thing I've seen recently a lot with other Baptist churches that attack our type of church is they'll accuse people like me or of other great pastors, Pastor Jimenez and other pastors. They'll say, well, you're full of strife and fighting and envy and you're carnal and you're arrogant. And they're actually the ones starting fights with us when we haven't even done anything or said anything. And so that just recently happened to us in the Philippines with another church that I didn't have a problem with. I had good thoughts about them before. I still hope they get a lot of people saved, but for whatever reason they decided to come after us. So I talked about that in the sermon. And then on Tuesday, the midweek service, I preached on Genesis 7, the worldwide flood, and showed how clearly it was a worldwide event. So other than that, there's a lot going on out here. It's going to be a very exciting and busy weekend coming up. We have our first annual Children's Day, and so we're planning to do the Children's Day right at Halloween, All Saints Day, or Day of the Dead, whatever you want to call it, weekend. And so pretty much around the world they have satanic holidays at this time of year coming up. So I'm going to have one sermon against the religion of voodoo, and I'm excited for that sermon. It's a topic I've studied a lot about. There's 60 million people worldwide that actually practice voodoo as their primary religion. So it's a very satanic religion. It's actually a lot more common than people realize. But then I'm going to have a sermon geared toward children after that. And it's something we're planning as an annual event to kind of replace people celebrating these dark holidays. Here in the Philippines, they go to the graves on All Saints Day in order to, basically worship their dead ancestors and leave food and stuff like that. Obviously, that's wicked. That's against the Bible. So this is kind of an annual event. It's going to be a great time of fellowship. The preaching is going to be geared, one against those dark holidays, one toward the kids. I'm excited about that. So we have that on Saturday and Sunday, but then on Monday we have our All Saints Day Soul Winning Marathon. And so we're going to be doing soul winning marathons. We're going to have one in Pampanga. We're going to have at least one in Metro Manila. We're going to have one in Bicol. So I know those locations. We might end up having more. We'd love to have you come out for that. It's a great time. Even if you're not a regular member of our church, but you tune into the online ministry, we're going to have soul winning coming up this Monday. We encourage you 1 week from now. On Monday, we encourage you to come for it. And so other than that, things are getting a little bit less strict here, which we're excited about. We're cautiously optimistic. But I didn't even realize until a couple days ago, I guess right now they have, basically if you don't have a vaccine, you're not allowed to go into malls in certain parts of Metro Manila and certain restaurants and stuff like that. So I didn't realize that. It's a little bit less strict here in Pampanga than it is Manila, but it just kind of depends on what area you're in. So just continue to be in prayer for us that the government will be less strict in the future and people can freely just serve God, and our churches can serve God, and people can work their jobs and not have any problems. Other than that, there was one exciting thing. I was excited this week because I won a Muslim to the Lord, and what was really exciting about it was the fact that it was pretty much all in Tagalog. It wasn't in English. And so most people here in the Philippines, if you're not familiar with the Philippines, if you're maybe an American or an online listener from another country, most people here in the Philippines speak English, basically fluently. Now, certain things they might say a little bit differently, certain phrases and stuff like that, but they speak English, fluently. But people on their day-to-day lives will usually speak in Tagalog or even their local sort of language. Like my wife's dialect is Kapampangan because she's in Pampanga. But They usually speak English fluently, but the person I talked to, though, he actually, and I usually preach the gospel mainly in Tagalog, but there's certain parts I go to English just because I can explain a little bit more in depth, and I'm a little bit more comfortable. And if I can tell they fully understand English, then sometimes I'll switch to certain parts just because it's a little bit easier for me, and I want to make sure I'm able to explain in depth enough. Well, this person did not speak very good English, so it's basically 100% in Tagalog. So it's very exciting for me to be able to win a Muslim to the Lord in another language. And so I've never won a Muslim to the Lord in another language before, so that was very exciting. But I asked all the questions. I said, if there's a person in, mabuting tao siya, mabait siya, pero Muslim siya. Hindi siya naniniwala na namatay si Jesus sa krus, inilibing at muling nabuhay. Saan siya pupunta? Sa langit or sa impyerno? And so I said, basically, that if he's a nice person, but he's a Muslim, and he doesn't believe Jesus died for him, where will he go? And then the person said, in hell. They said, not in heaven, but in hell. So they understood it. They got saved. I was very excited about that. And so we actually had a few other Muslims that got saved through our ministries here this past week. So that's exciting. A lot of great things are going on. We got a big weekend coming up, and we're very excited about that. And thank you for tuning into our ministry. Thank you, and God bless.